Yes. Welcome back to another episode of Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. I am Barry Long 2. Don't forget the 2. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are also live on today'scalifornia.com as well as today'scanada.com. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. And let's bring in my man Sage. What up, Sage?
Hey, what's good, brother?
Not much, man. Just enjoying the day. Now we're gonna get into these NFL games that are coming up this weekend. We got to talk about what happened yesterday because it was a great game to start.
It was an amazing game.
Yeah, to kick off the NFL season, a game going down to the wire like that, and how slow the clock moved. It was just great, man. It was great football. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about the Ravens a little bit today. But before we get into this actual game that was played yesterday, I want to talk about the national anthem and the pregame festivities. So we had, it had a Super Bowl atmosphere. Not only were they, given the Super Bowl trophy yesterday or unveiled the banner and everything that they do as far as the festivities are concerned for the previous year, but they had Ed Sheeran perform. They also had Michelle Williams, former member of Destiny's Child. She performed the national anthem, and it was, in my opinion, one of the worst national anthems that I've ever heard in my life. She tried to sound, different. She kind of tried to sound like a little jazzy. It sounded like a mix between like Macy Gray and Etta James and Ella Fitzgerald. like this was one of the worst national anthems in my opinion, worse than Fergie. How did you feel about the national anthem, Sage?
Oh man, it wasn't one of the best performances I've ever seen. I've seen better. Good on her for trying to be creative. I get it. It just didn't work out the way that she thought it might have worked in her head. But,
kind of like Fergie thought it would be great for the NBA basketball. Let's play some basketball.
You see the all the videos of the players' reactions, watching, hearing the anthem on the.
It was ridiculous. It was, and I mean, we've had some great national anthems in the past. Whitney Houston is my favorite national anthem from the 90s.
All time. That's number one.
That's number one.
Everyone else is like a tier below, even not even close.
And then you got Marvin Gaye from the All-Star game many years ago. That was pretty good.
That was pretty special too.
Yeah. So, but this one last night was not special. I don't think she'll be getting called back.
It's special that we'll remember it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So we did have football after all the pregame festivities. It was very exciting. A great game, a close game. Went down to the wire. Of course, the Cowboys went up by 2 points with the field goal. By Greg Zuerlein, who missed a bunch of field goals. And then they left too much time on the clock, 1 minute, 24 seconds. Tom Brady does what Tom Brady always does. He takes them down the field, and they get a field goal, and they win the game. We've seen it time in and time again. The Buccaneers defeated the Dallas Cowboys 31-28. What were your takeaways from the game?
I mean, the fact that Antonio Brown is back. That's first and foremost. We saw it, and everyone, all the reports, from camp, from just his off season, from the people in his camp, said he's on it. And having Brady on his side, it's like, how can you not want to give your best when you have a quarterback that gives you a chance to win at all times, and someone who just won you a Super Bowl the year before, and you played a big part in that.
Yes, he did. And, I mean, if we see Antonio Brown go back to the Antonio Brown that was in Pittsburgh, it is going to be scary. I mean, this team is loaded on offense. Tom Brady with an all-time great performance, just like he always does on opening day. There's no Super Bowl hangover. You can always guarantee that with Tom Brady. He did go 32 of 50. It felt like his completion percentage was a lot better watching the game. But he threw for 379 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions that I won't say were his fault. But yeah, they had no running game. They only ran the ball 9 times, or they ran the ball 13 times for a total of 46 yards. Leonard Fournette was non-existent. Ronald Jones was non-existent and had a fumble, a terrible fumble at a costly moment. But yeah, Antonio Brown, man, you can't say enough about Antonio Brown. When Antonio Brown comes out, 5 catches for 121 yards. And then you got Chris Godwin, nine catches for 105 yards, and Gronkowski, man. You can't say enough about Gronkowski either. He has 2 touchdowns, 8 catches for 90 yards. And just the one play where he catches that Tom Brady pass, he basically deviated. Tom Brady's audible, called him for protection and then release. And then they did what they always do so many times. We've seen it in New England. They just have perfect chemistry. And, man, this team, no Super Bowl hangover. This team is looking scary, man.
And you see what shout out to Dak. I mean, just the incredible story. Proved a lot of people wrong. And even stuff that I heard, even stuff, he didn't lose the game. Other people on the team lost the game for him last night. Speaking of CeeDee Lamb or CD, like where's his hands at? And it's just seeing the performance that Dak gave. They should have beat the Buccaneers last night. Came down to they gave the GOAT too much time. Like at the end of the day, like you go from Blake Jarwin. There's a lot of controversy with there's a Zeke play where Adams makes a great stop at the goal line, makes him kick a field goal. But if we look at that play, Jarwin has one of the worst blocks I've ever seen, and just pretty much doesn't even stop the defender's momentum, and so it allows Zeke to get stopped. That upset fantasy owners because so now you got all the fantasy mixed in with those NFL people, because when it's the NFL people, they're like, well, what is Zeke doing on his blocking? So a lot of people hate on Zeke, but a lot of people got to watch. Like he saved Dak a lot of times. Did a lot of great job on the blocking.
Yeah,
everyone got to step up, but he's the tight end too now for the Cowboys going forward. Schultz did enough to where we all saw that he's the guy going forward with the Cowboys for the starting tight end spot. And you got Cooper balled out. A lot of people just doubting him the whole offseason. A lot of people forgot who Cooper was, and Cooper showed who definitely he's one of the top receivers in the league still.
Yeah, Amari Cooper came out, this offseason and said that he believes that he is the best receiver in the league. I mean, let's pump our brakes. But he did say that he believes he's one of the best receivers in the league, and he just hasn't shown it yet. And last night he definitely showed it. Cooper had 13 catches for 139 yards. I mean, Cooper looked good. He looked really good last night. And if he continues to play this way, man, he might be top 3, maybe top 5. I'll give him top 5 receivers in reception yards and catches this season. So if Cooper can stay healthy and play at a high level like this, man, this team can look really good. But yeah, you can't say enough about Dak Prescott coming off the ankle injury. He's had the lingering shoulder injury. A lot of people were doubting him and didn't know what to expect from Dak Prescott, especially after those first 3 throws in the game. The first 3 throws were like ducks in the water. It was like, oh my God. And I'm watching the game. I was with KCLB yesterday with TK from KCLB at an Agua Caliente and Rancho Mirage at 360 Sports. And we were watching the game, and a lot of Cowboy fans were just, after that first drive, they were like, man, I don't know what's going on with Dak Prescott. And to Dak's credit, he went back. And he just, he started playing the game. He started feeling comfortable, started to settle in.
It was like, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to show out.
And he threw 58 times. We didn't want to see him throw 58 times because of that shoulder injury.
Finished with a 101.4 rating. He finished better than Brady.
Man, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That wasn't his fault that you pointed out earlier. CeeDee Lamb went right through his hands. And then he had no running game. Zeke Elliott, 11 rushes for 33 yards, and Tony Pollard only had 3 rushes for 14 yards. Now that's going to be a problem moving forward. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment.
Also, to on the run game, Zach Martin's out, so we can't. I was telling people, well, why are we overreacting on the run game when we knew that the engine? It's like you took an engine out and said let the car run. Yeah, I'm like there's no engine, so the car can't run.
He had the best offensive line.
He's got to clear the way. He's got to start it up so everyone else can work.
Yeah, and then you got that guy Vea on the other side, the nose guard for the Bucks. I mean, he's a package to deal with. You got to double team that man. So yeah, Dak Prescott has no running game. He's coming off injury. He's on the road in Tampa Bay, which is a crazy atmosphere. Everybody's all hype about the Super Bowl last year and all the celebration and ceremonies.
Not your best O lineman.
You don't have your best O lineman. I mean, the cards were stacked against Dak Prescott, and he had a performance of a lifetime, in my opinion. After that first drive, he looked really, really good, and I was very impressed. I thought that he showed a lot of moxie, and just coming through for the team the way we know he could. And if this is a very Dak dependent team, so if something happens to Dak Prescott, they don't have a viable backup. So you're looking at Garrett Gilbert or Ben DiNucci. But yeah, man, Dak Prescott was very impressive last night, and I was shocked. I was amazed. Now, Ezekiel Elliott. Now, we were going to talk about Ezekiel Elliott. Now, yes, he only had 11 rushes for 33 yards, and it was it was a drive performance from him when running the ball. But when he didn't touch the ball, he had an impact on the game, and that's what the great players do. If they're not scoring in the NBA, or they're not, scoring in the NFL, or they always find a way to contribute to the game in other ways, and that's what Ezekiel Elliott did time and time again. He stepped up in pass protection, picking up the blitzes, and it was bad for fantasy owners. I got Ezekiel Elliott in one of my leagues. Mm-hmm. I got Zeke, and I don't know what to do moving forward. I'm gonna have to hit that waiver wire because Zeke Elliott. If this is the way that they're gonna use him,
no, I don't want to sign. It's not the way they're gonna use them, but it's like what you said. The great players on the nights are not. They can't do certain stuff. What are you doing? And Zeke proved to a lot of people. I watched all his plays, watching it, and he was more like, hey, he was picking up his blocking assignments. Yeah. He was doing the little things. So when the run game wasn't there, and honestly, no Zach Martin, the Cowboys line's probably not going to be good enough to go against the Buccaneers, Super Bowl winning defensive line.
JPP, Ndamukong Suh,
Jason Pierre-Paul just the Giants gave him up for nothing. Like now we look back, like two guys that got cut, and it's just the Buccaneers. They're set up for success this year. They're not. There was no hangover because they had any year you have a Brady, you have a shot to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you said they got rid of JPP for nothing, and Antonio Brown was cut for nothing from the Raiders. Leonard Fournette
$30 million.
Leonard Fournette
Raiders paid $30 million. Hey, that's how crazy Antonio Brown's story was. He had to wait till 1 week. He needed to get to week 1 to guarantee $30 million.
And they cut him. I mean, to be fair, he came in to training camp on a damn hot air balloon.
He sent text message to the coach to release me. The owner, they're like, Antonio Brown wanted the money back, and in the court, they're like, he has text messages to the owner. He said, release me, like, get me off this team. So when Antonio Brown wants the money back, they're like, here's the text messages, bro. Like, what do you want? What do you want from us?
Absolutely.
Like, you ruined your own contract. Like,
yeah. So they basically got Antonio Brown, off the street for hardly nothing. They got Gronkowski off the street. They went out and got JPP off the street. They got Leonard Fournette off the street, and all these guys are contributing. It is a beautiful thing. All right, we are live on today'scalifornia.com. We're live on CoachellaValley.com. We are also live on today'scanada.com. We have some people commenting in. Robert Peck says, recall Newsom. Not even going to touch that. But yeah, we are in California. It is a lot of crazy stuff going on right now.
Yeah, politics, people are getting engaged. Like, and I'm not going to tell people who to vote for, but just learn more.
This is a sports show. Educate yourselves, people. But I'm pretty sure that Robert Peck is educated on this topic. We also have Saifadan Ahmad says Dennis Rodman. Yeah, I got Dennis Rodman behind me, and I love Dennis. I mean, he was instrumental to that second run for the Bulls. So that is my guy. But yeah, we are Go Long Live, and I am Barry Long II. This is Sage Alvarez, and we're just talking some football. Last night was a great game. Tampa Bay defeated Dallas Cowboys 31-29, and off of a field goal. and there was a controversial play that happened on that last drive where all the Cowboys fans are upset. They're mad about the push-off from Chris Godwin that never was called. And this was a crucial play because it was on the third down. It was a time where, this is going to be like, hey, if they don't get it here, I don't know if they're going to be able to, kick this field goal. And it ended up being a huge play, a huge chunk play. And did you think it was pass interference? Because in my opinion, it definitely looked like a push-off. But if I'm a referee, I don't want to throw that flag in that situation with the game on the line. How do you feel about that play?
So it's funny you mentioned that play. I probably watched that now like 10 different times and trying to watch it from all different angles. DVR working good. It looks so close that even if you went to the replay, you still wouldn't want to overturn either way. Like it'd almost go to your original call, which is probably why we don't get the challenge flag for those anymore because of how because you saw there's a little hold on both sides. Yeah, they were hand fighting. Is it a bang bang play and just let them play and let it go out? And honestly, if you watch in real time, you're not calling that. Yeah, and they didn't call it.
Absolutely.
I agree with it, and it's one of those things where you look at the film and you might lean more toward Cowboys getting that flag, but when you watch it real time,
it's so fast, it's so quick.
It was so fast, and I don't mind that no call. I don't mind.
It definitely wasn't as egregious as we saw a few years ago with the Saints and the Rams in that playoff game. That was an egregious pass interference.
That's why they got the rule. But then the rule, when you realize when you get to that, when you want those, and there's some fans like on Twitter that still believe that is a real thing, that you still could challenge it. And I'm like, they don't, because it's so difficult to be able to make those calls even in slow motion. And these guys got TVs on the wall. They can see the little bits of grass.
They got New York. They got New York.
My people. I know some. I got some people that be doing those. That they actually do. The ones that like when they call them, they're the people they call, and they're like, Sage, I can see every little type of inch,
every blade of grass,
centimeter, and it's very crystal clear on a lot of things. So they're looking at it from that type of angle, and I'm like, that's why they're like, we're gonna make no call. So when you see that on some of these things last year, when they had that rule, it's like, okay.
I feel like the challenge flag, that you can throw for a pass interference that wasn't called, I feel like it just opened up Pandora's box, and it's just it's a slippery slope, and we're gonna start seeing more and more of these controversial plays. And I, for one, do not like the fact that they can challenge a pass interference that wasn't called originally on the play, because I just think it's changing the way the games have always traditionally gone down. So, but you know what? I mean, if they would have thrown the challenge flag in that situation, I don't think they had to, because it was within 2 minutes. But obviously New York did not feel. Obviously, New York and the NFL did not feel like it was egregious enough to stop play and to review it. Because
they can't review that play because it's they're not allowed to change the rule. Like on those calls, it is what it is now.
Yeah, and I think that if it was challengeable, I don't think it would have been overturned.
Right, I agree with that.
It's just it was a tough game, a tough outcome for the Dallas Cowboys and their fans. But what I will say moving forward is that the team looked really good without their best O-lineman. Dak Prescott only got sacked one time.
They're my NFC East pick.
They have now become my NFC East pick as well.
Cowboy fans, they're not the nicest to me, but I am going to give them their respect this year. They're going to win it. They should have won it last year. No Dak. No quarterback yet. That's the real engine to the team. If you don't have that, you're not. His backup options weren't good enough.
Yeah, and you still got Washington football team out there with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They have a really good team, probably the best defensive line in football. So they're going to have a chance. But if I'm a Cowboys fan and I watch that game, if there is such thing as a moral victory, then you have to look at it and say that was a moral victory yesterday. Because we lost, but who did we lose to? We lost to damn Tom Brady. All right, we lost to Tom Brady, and we played well, and we actually gave ourselves a chance to win. And we didn't win, but
if anything, they gave them the win. That's how I looked. I thought the Buccaneers, like Tom Brady, he's just one of the guys that has the natural ability to say things in interviews. He has that roar about him. He won too much. So he knows how to. He's like, we played terrible and we still won. And you see Ronald Jones, Rojo. He didn't play after that fumble. Really?
Yeah.
They went to Bernard, and realistically, like now, Fournette is the guy that's gonna be the engine for the Buccaneers moving forward.
Yeah, he's gonna be, and that's a damn good option to have, Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. I mean, both of those guys are good running backs, really great backs. But yeah, if I were to blame anybody for the Cowboys' loss, I would have to blame Greg Zuerlein. Greg the Leg Zuerlein. He missed extra point. He missed 2 field goals, and when it came down for him to make that final field goal, to put Dallas ahead, and where you knew that they were ahead, but not for long, he came through. And we've seen Greg Zuerlein have some great years with the Rams. I mean, they call him Greg the Leg for a reason. He's got a strong leg. He can kick you a 63, 64-yarder if you need be. But when it comes down to short, it seems like with Greg Zuerlein, the shorter the distance, the less accurate he gets. And it's just if you were to blame anybody, you could blame Greg Zuerlein. And I know it's tough to be a kicker in the NFL because you get all the glory when you kick that game-winning field goal, and when you miss it, they want you gone. But Greg Zuerlein, if he hadn't made that last field goal, I'm not sure that they would have been working out kickers today.
It still might be.
You're right, man. You're absolutely right, man. But it was a great game, great way to kick off the NFL. It felt real. Like last year didn't really feel too authentic with no fans in the stands. NFL is one of those games. It's one of those games where the crowd really does dictate a lot of the action on the field with the noise. I mean, when you're on the road, you can barely hear anything. You got to resort to hand signals to communicate with your teammates because it's so damn loud in some stadiums. And then it's just that home field advantage. The fans really do make a difference, and it was just great to see.
There was a high school in my area, and it's not even the biggest gym. It was the Cathedral City High School, and when they had a playoff game, it was ranked the number one hardest place to play in Riverside County. But then everyone was like, that gym's not that big. But I was like, but the fact is, when it's so closed in and how loud people are, the coaches during the playoff game had to go at the free throw line. They pretty much take the whole bench. They had the coaches and the other players that weren't playing make sure they take the chairs for the starting five. They could sit down, and it was the crowd wouldn't stop. It wouldn't stop during timeouts. They wanted the coaches not to be able to talk.
Yeah, that's crazy. And as fans, we like to think that we have a team. We all say I'm a Ravens fan, so I say we when I refer to the Ravens. And and I'm always being corrected by certain people. They say, "Man, the Ravens don't pay you." But we like to feel like we have a little bit of an influence on the game. And that is certainly a way that fans can influence a game is when they're loud and they're in the crowd. So it was a great way to kick off the game. And it was a long game too because they weren't running the ball, so the clock wasn't running continuously. And we got as much football as we wanted, man, as we needed. And I just can't wait. I'm excited for the season. We're gonna talk these games here in a minute. We're gonna go through a little pick'em challenge. But I did want to bring up real quick while we are on Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. And Sage Alvarez. We are on CoachellaValley.com. We are also on Today'sCalifornia.com as well as Today'sCanada.com. The Ravens, man. The Ravens, my Ravens. We talked about it last episode that, they lost J.K. Dobbins. They lost Justice Hill. They had to pick up some other guys, because of these injuries. We found out 2 days ago or yesterday that the Ravens have lost another running back to a torn ACL. Gus Edwards is now out. That's going to ruin a lot of people's fantasy teams. And then they lost Marcus Peters, the starting cornerback on the flip side on the defense. And it's just been a rough preseason for the Ravens. I mean, we've lost 5 people to season-ending injuries. So we're now going to have to bring in other running backs. Devontae Freeman is going to sign on the practice squad as well as Le'Veon Bell. And Latavius Murray is now signed to the regular roster, the 53-man roster. So should be interesting to see. But, how do you feel about these injuries, man?
It's a terrible loss for the game, terrible loss for the Ravens, terrible loss just for everyone because, losing those type of quality players, I mean, it's always that next man mentality up in the NFL. But just when we're losing talent like that, it's unfortunate because you don't replace some Marcus Peters. Like, you might try to get you might be able to kind of get the same production that you might with Le'Veon Bell, Devonta Freeman, with Gus Edwards being gone. Because really, J.K. Dobbins was a real miss for the Ravens having this year. With the guy you had on the other day, he explained pretty well. Like he's like Dobbins ready to go off. For sure. Captain Defense was on. And he was looking for
he
did a great job on the show too. By the way,
appreciate that, man. Yeah, but we're looking at he was going to be a dual threat, and it's just a shame. But it'll be interesting to see. I went out and picked up Le'Veon Bell for my fantasy team because I really do feel like once he learns that offense, gets his shape, I feel like he'll be a little threat, and he's got a lot of motivation to play for. Watching Antonio Brown win a Super Bowl, go to a different place. He is a former Steeler, so he's mad at the Steelers. So what better way to get back at the Steelers than to be a Raven? So I look for him to really step in to his final act, if you will, in the NFL. So that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, Coach John Harbaugh has been criticized for the grass that they're practicing on, and that could definitely be a factor. But it'll be interesting to see. He says that it's not a factor, but a lot of people on Twitter are talking about that.
Oh yeah, they a lot of people got into some disagreements with me on Twitter about that, and I just feel like the NFL could do more. Like if someone said that we should practice in snow and rain, and for practice, I'd probably like, why? Is that the smartest thing? If we're gonna play in it, that's fine. We need to get a little adjusting to it. That's fine. Yeah. But like, why are we doing full practice? It makes no sense to me. When they had the money, they had the money to. Like, if anything, I'm like, why are we still like? I get that we still want to have that, but it's the snow. But we should have domes. Like, we should be taking care of the players in areas where I'm like, why does this team still have an open stadium? Like, we have the money. They do it in the desert. Money, but we have the money to do it.
Yeah, they give you the dome stadiums in the desert. Vegas, Phoenix, and then you get them in the far north, especially like places like Chicago should have one. But you had Minnesota had one. Now they have an outdoor stadium. You had
You got improvement.
Yeah, the Detroit Lions have an indoor stadium.
Ask the kicker who lost a game for them. You're talking about kickers lost a playoff game for them that way.
Yeah.
Because they have a dome. If they have a dome, they don't lose it. But they were building that stadium during that time too.
Yeah, they were. They absolutely.
I remember that. But I'm just like, man, dome, you don't lose that. But I get it. The only thing I say we don't have a dome is Lambeau. Don't touch Lambeau and literally let everyone else have a dome because they're the only ones that have the right formula for their fans. They have literally season ticket. You can go into a season ticket right now, and your grandkids might be able to get close enough to get season tickets.
It's ridiculous. Lambeau's a great place, man. It's but even there, it's too cold up there, man. They need to just put a top on Lambeau.
That's the only place I can't touch it. You can't touch it. They're like that's NFL. Just let them be the only ones. Let them be the only ones. Everyone get a dome.
And really quick, we're almost out of time. Really quick, T.J. Watt just signed a 4-year, $112 million deal, so he'll be playing on Sunday. Let's get through these games,
right?
And then let's jump into that meme of the week. Now we don't have much time, so we're not going to give reasons why we believe that they're going to win. We're just going to say who we pick, and we're going to pick 5 games. Okay, so the first game that I wanted to pick was Seahawks Colts. Who you got?
Seahawks.
Okay, I like that pick. I'm going to go with the Seahawks as well. The next game is Bills Steelers. Bills. Okay. I'm gonna go. It's in Buffalo. I'm going Steelers. Just because TJ Watt's back, and I'm trying to beat you. I gotta pick it separately at some point. Browns Chiefs.
I'm going Chiefs.
You're going Chiefs. I'm going Browns on that one. I think week 1. All right, Packers Saints.
Packers.
Okay, I'm going with the Saints. No, I'm not. I'm going with the Packers.
I was like, man, going against the real cute, the real MVP. He's not running back. He's my pick to running back. He's running back MVP.
I can't go against Aaron Rodgers.
I'm not going against
Aaron Rodgers and Jameis Winston. I'll take my money on Aaron. All right, Ravens, Raiders. Last game we picking.
Raiders. They're winning it.
Raiders
are winning.
All right, Sage, goodbye. No, I'm picking Ravens, of course. That should be an interesting game at Allegiant Stadium. That is going to be an interesting game to see because those fans are going to be hyped. The black hole in Allegiant Stadium, and they're enclosed. That's going to be a stadium that's going to be interesting to see how well those fans affect the games as well. But yeah, okay. So you got the Raiders, man. Dang, okay, it's like that, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm confident in that.
Okay. All right. So, and then real quick, just wanted to leave everybody with the meme of the day. This is Cowboys. The top picture is Cowboys fans week 1, and the bottom picture is Cowboy fans week 5. Now, that has been traditionally what it's been like the last few years for Cowboy fans. Cowboy fans are like the most hypest fans in the beginning of the season, and then they realize that it's not going to turn out the way they thought it would. And then if they lose, like they lost Dak Prescott last year, it was very depressing to see Cowboys fans. But this year, I think Cowboys fans have a lot to be excited about. And once Zach Martin comes back, and then you get Ezekiel Elliott involved in that offense, and Dak Prescott doesn't have to throw 50 times.
Right, because they're gonna make them. They wanted the way the game was. They had to force them to throw. Zeke had no run game because they were loading the box, and honestly, they got quality players too. They got some top 100 players. What was it like? They're the most in an NFL, if I believe so. On top of that.
Yeah. So yeah, man. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see, and if that defense can play well, then this team is definitely a threat to win the NFC East. So. Shout out to all the Cowboys fans. Y'all finally have something to be excited for. And then when they panned to Jerry Jones at the end of the game when Greg Zuerlein is kicking that field goal that eventually puts them up just for a little while. But Jerry Jones, I've never seen Jerry Jones look that nervous in the press box. Jerry Jones looked like he was about to bite his nails. I was like, man, because Jerry usually looks happy. And he usually looks confident. But Jerry looked nervous. I think that's a good sign for Cowboys fans because it's a different look. All right, so all right, we want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in, everybody who commented, and yeah, please go to Today's California Facebook page, Today's Canada Facebook page, and Coachella Valley's Facebook page. Like the page, become a fan, and you'll get us popping up live on your feed every single time. Just thank you to everybody for tuning in, and have a great weekend. We enjoy all the NFL football that you're gonna get.
Right, and follow me on Twitter at SageDub and on Facebook Sage Alvarez, and I'll be first sure to add you as a friend.
And follow me on Facebook as Barry Long 2. It's Barry Long II, and I'm also on Twitter at Radio Barry Long and Instagram at Barry Long _2. Now, moving forward, guys, this weekend have a great weekend, and remember 3 things: stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired, and remember you're capable of doing anything. Enjoy the weekend. Thanks, Sage. I'll talk to you later, man.
Thank you, bro. I'll talk to you.